Welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, this is the campaign edition of Choice 2017. And it has been a very busy day, politically speaking. That is yesterday. Actually, there are those who have referred it to as Super Saturday because Jubilee were in Lower Eastern, that is the Ukambani region, together under the leadership, of course, of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto, and NASA were in Bomet County, where they held what has been referred to as a mega rally. Let's listen into some of the leaders there.
Madawa zote ziko kwa hospitali, mko sawa? Jubilee wametucheza hapo.
Tutakaja na laptop na kama vile nyinyi watu wa Bomet mnajua yule kijana yetu ya mwisho my last born hapo standard 1 kutoka 2012 mpaka 2017. Sababu wanangojea laptop.
Wajue Kenya inataka mabadiliko sasa. Na kama sio sasa, ni sasa hivi.
Halali msiseme Isaac amepita kama hamjampigia kura. Msiseme Raila amepita kama hamjapiga kura.
NASA leaders, they are poking holes into the Jubilee leadership. We are going to look at what Jubilee leaders had to say also in Kitui as well as Makueni yesterday. But before that, we're now joined live from Elgeyo, Marakwet by reporter Elvis Kosgei, who is on standby there. Now, Elvis, a very good afternoon to you. And perhaps we're getting reports that there's an upsurge of independent candidates in Elgeyo, Marakwet. What more can you tell us?
Many thanks, Yusuf. And indeed, in Elgeyo Marakwet County, you have an upsurge of independent candidates and also the influence of NASA in this region. Remember, in 2013 in Elgeyo Marakwet County, the residents of Elgeyo Marakwet County voted for the Jubilee and the URP and TNA then, almost to a man. This solidified the support William Ruto had back then. But this time around, we are seeing change of things. Remember, last time the deputy president was here and the president there was an upsurge from independent candidates. I remember one rally at Iten Town where there was shouting match between the Jubilee candidate, Alex Tanui-Tolgos, who's the governor of Elgeyo Marakwet County, and also an independent candidate supporters, Moses Changwon, is the former MD of Sasiniti. And joining me is Mika Kigen, an ODM candidate in Keyo South constituency. This is the second stab in this region, and you are an ODM candidate. Remember, you're running against Daniel Rono, who is a Jubilee candidate. Yesterday, we saw the chairman of Council of Governors, Josephat Nanok, in that region. Does this mean that NASA has got great influence in Keyo South and Elgeyo Marakwet County?
It is important to really know the history of Kalenjin politics. Kalenjin politics were together, particularly, or united, particularly during Moi's time. After Moi, then there was a vacuum, which of course His Excellency Deputy President Ruto just filled in without the wishes of the public, which is the Kalenjin nation. So thereafter, of course, there was 2013 immediately. Then when he went in with Uhuru Kenyatta, obviously most Kalenjin were touting whether they will be cleared to vie for the presidency. But eventually, which was the 11th hour, they were cleared. And if people really can look back in history, the Kalenjin nation were not even united then. They were backing Raila presidency, almost 50 to 60%.
Yes.
And eventually, His Excellency Mr. Ruto came into the radio, pleaded for the six-piece voting, and also pleaded that they were in ICC. Obviously, you cannot allow your own if he is being molested. So Kalenjin voted to a man, just simply
because of the ICC factor.
Because of the ICC factor. So this year now, because this, after 5 years later, Kalenjin have also audited the performance of the presidency of Uhuru Kenyatta and Uhuru and Deputy President Ruto. After that, as of yesterday, and I was talking with my people when I was launching my manifesto, I'm telling them, what has Ruto done? What has Uhuru done that can really influence that we can vote once again to a man? And there is zero. One, deputy president has failed miserably to even come back to his sense, to tell the public, thank you, number one. Number two, to tell the public and the community in various, wherever they are, that we are in this government, and we are in this government on what? Is it to benefit himself or also to benefit the people? Look back to the various stakeholders in the region. We have the professionals. As he sat down with the professionals, we say no. As he sat down with the business world, that influences even any decisions, because at the end of the day, as one leader up there, we need also people on the ground, those who are influencing and rally people towards a certain objectives. They have not sat down with the business people. He has not sat down with the bishops, with the church leaders. He has not sat down with the community. So this community are now asking, here is another election. What is he going to tell us? We say he has nothing to look back. And that is why this decision of now moving and looking at people who can really understand the community's problems, particularly the maize problem that we have, the fertilizers, and so on. Let's say palm inputs and so on. Instead of the government complementing the farmer, they are going to complement the importation. Yes.
Remember when the deputy president was in E10, he advocated for the 6-piece suit come the August 8th elections. And some of the things that he managed to say is that the E10 Nyaru Road was able to be completed under the watch of the Jubilee government.
I would wish the deputy president is watching me live, directly. I would want to say this. There is no 6-piece suit in Rift Valley. That is one. Two, the emergence of the independent candidate in the whole republic, not only in this region, is just because of the mess that the deputy president did. He did away with the URB, thinking that he's going to unite the country under one Jubilee. Yet, he didn't know that people were watching his steps. And fortunately, there was that single opportunity to the people of Kenya, particularly the candidates, the independents. The independents have come stronger because he killed the whole other parties. So that was the only thing that people could go. And I'm saying people are not ready to listen to that because he himself was the chair, or he was middling with the nominations. And everybody knows that it was Ruto who really directed that this is the person I want, and that is the person I want in the whole country. And that is in preparation of his 2022 ambition. I want to say, failure, some of us, of course, we have not subscribed to Ruto's policies and the style of working. But I'm saying some of us remained in ODM since 2007 when I ran as a candidate of ODM. Of course, I didn't succeed then. This is my second time I'm coming back, and I'm telling Honorable Ruto, Kalenjins should be left to decide the leadership they want. And I want to say that he has lost the Kalenjin, and he has no amount of persuasions that is going to persuade the Kalenjins this time round.
Maybe let's talk about the influence of NASA in the North Rift region. Let's talk of Rift Valley. We saw when Ruto came last time, the deputy president, he said that the cost of fertilizer is going to be reduced from 1,800 shillings to 1,200 shillings, something that made farmers here in the North region to have a reason to smile. Also, are you claiming that the Deputy President William Ruto is losing his grip in the Rift Valley?
I want to tell you that Ruto is shooting himself in the arm this side and also trying to do this and that. You know, all these things he's trying to do is after people have cried, after people have demonstrated. You want to tell me he doesn't know? He's a farmer himself, and he has been an MP of the Eldoret North, and he knows the feeling of the farmer in this region. Mm-hmm. One, they promised that they were going to bring a fertilizer manufacturing into Eldoret. It turned out to be something, a blender or something.
But you have KCC.
You know? Well, I'm still answering about the fertilizer. Mm-hmm. He lied, number one, that the fertilizer manufacturing will be done in the North Rift. Mm-hmm. What did they bring? They brought a private investor who is blending something which is again at the market rate, which it doesn't reduce anything. Two, KCC you are talking about. Mm-hmm. Who is the biggest supplier of the milk in this country? Even this KCC will be muscled out. Mm-hmm. All the lorries we are meandering here and there, we know them. This is just seducing the farmer that, oh, KCC is going to do this, oh, KCC is going to do this, but eventually this KCC will be sold and they will buy it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know this, and this is crooking the farmer. Okay. So what I'm saying, the influence of NASA is not a tailored thing. It just has come out as sporadic, because people in Rift Valley has felt helpless and they don't know where to turn to. The only place to turn to, and it is like a replica of 207, when wananchi here decided that our people, our own people, are pursuing their own interests, and they decided to move to ODM. What happened? Ruto and its leaders, they ran after the wananchi, and they came back to ODM. Immediately designed, and he crooked wananchi, that Raila Odinga has chased them from Mau. Yet it was a decision from the government. It was a decision from the cabinet. All this time, he's now in the government for the last 5 years. Has the problem been sorted out? Instead, they're even sharing the chambers there.
Okay. Lastly, are you ready for the duel? Are you ready to take on Daniel Rono?
Am I on the ground? I'm on the ground now, and I'm moving on. Mm-hmm. Yes, he's not equal to me, mm-hmm, because I understand the problem of the people. Mm-hmm. We have come out, and this is now, what I'm trying to tell you is that the leaders who are going to come out in the North Rift now are the leaders who has been tested. And that leader is also part of me. I'm one of them. And I'm going to deliver to the people. We are not going to write on fake pledges. We are not going to write on useless direction. We are going to tell the people as it is. The country right now is ripe for change. Na mabadiliko ni sasa hivi. Without that, this country is going to go into docks. And Kalenjins are not going to be part and parcel of pushing the country to that corner. We want to be in history of being with the people of this country and bringing the change. That change has been seen through the NASA leadership. Okay. Yes.
Many thanks. Yusuf Ibrahim, you've heard from Mika Kigen, an ODM candidate in Keyo South constituency. Remember, is running against Daniel Rono, a Jubilee candidate in the region. But it's just a small matter of the August 8th election that will determine the political direction of the North Rift region.
And thanks, Elvis, for that. That is Mika Kigen speaking to reporter Elvis Kosgei there in Elgeyo Marakwet. And remember, those are the views of Kigen himself. Of course, he's eyeing the Elgeyo South parliamentary seat through the NASA ticket, talking about the influence NASA has had in the North Rift region. And speaking about influence, Jubilee has also had its fair share of influence in the lower eastern region, that is in the Ukambani region, where they had a rally there. But before that, it's been very silent as far as the Jubilee's campaign trail is concerned today. But we're getting a media alert here, and they're saying they're going to have a press conference shortly at the Ukambani headquarters, and the topic is about corruption allegations. Of course, that is something that we're going to cover for you. But for now, let's cross over to the Ukambani region, where Jubilee, under the leadership of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto, of course, they pitch camped yesterday in Kitui and Makueni. Let's listen in to what they had to say.
Bandia. Sikanani yake ni bandia. Mnaona ameangaisha Kalonzo huyu rafiki yangu. Mara anamzungusha Kalonzo, kwanza alimtapeli akamwambia atamuunga mkono 2017. Ikapotea. Akapeleka yeye kumangamanga huko maandamano mpaka Kalonzo ule mungwana ameketi chini kwa lami. Kesi potosha, sasa ameandika manifesto ya NASA. Hakuna dam, hakuna irrigation, na Kalonzo yuko pale anajua hakuna maji nyumbani. We as Jubilee have provided a clear program and a clear plan of how to invest in harvesting of water, in dams, in irrigation, so that we can turn around the fortunes of the people of Lower Eastern.
There you go. That is Deputy President William Ruto addressing Jubilee supporters in the Ukambani region. They were in Kitui and Makueni yesterday. Prof, let me just begin with you. You've heard what the Deputy President said there, saying he's rather blaming Raila for all the problems. It's all about body language. He knows he's in a wiper stronghold. Yeah. And they're, of course, the de facto leader is Kalonzo Musyoka. So he's trying to say that, Kalonzo should be given, should settle for a deal in 2022 by supporting Jubilee now.
It's understandable, and it's a good strategy. Yeah. It's just saying Kalonzo is not a bad man. He's a very good man, in fact. Only that he's misled and continues agreeing to be misled in the way he was misled before. So sympathize with your man and advise him to go to the right. It's a campaign strategy. It's understandable. Remember that Kalonzo had also said a similar thing about Ruto. Some time ago he said, if Uhuru loses in 2017, it's because of Ruto. He said that. So I guess now Ruto is returning the favor that your man is a good man. A bit confused, but he's a good man. Just advise him to see the light. I thought, and in fact, even the president was also playing the same thing. They don't want to go there and antagonize the feelings of the people. So I think it's a good strategy to go and say, your man is not bad. He's just lost. Actually,
there's a statement here by Kalonzo on that comment that was made by the Deputy President and President Uhuru Kenyatta. And let me just read part of it. And he's saying it is comical for Uhuru and Ruto to ask me to join them as they march towards opposition trenches, for that is surely where they will be after NASA takes over power after the August 8th, 2017 general elections. Are we seeing Kalonzo who is very different now? He has a very strong stand in NASA.
I think the
will he be influenced by what the Deputy President has said there?
Definitely no. No. These rallies that are going towards the NASA strongholds, that are going towards Ukambani, they are not meant for the people there. They are meant to create perception in the whole country. If you look at the crowd that was there in Kitui and the environs, they are red. They are all dressed in red. That means they made contact with the Jubilee before the rally.
Yes.
There's no way you can wear red all over without making contact with the Jubilee. They must have.
The same can be said of NASA in Bomet.
If they were all dressing.
It's the same thing.
I had to make it clear.
Yeah. So you can't go there and say, oh, there were people here cheering. You have to look at the crowd. Those who are dressed are the ones cheering, or everybody, or those who are not dressed. So in Ukambani, if you listen to what Ruto was saying, they are just comedy. They're just meant to keep the rally going. They're just meant to keep the people entertained. But ideally, they are not meant to convince anyone to cross over. They wanted to create a perception in the whole country that even Ukambani, when they go, there's a crowd that is pro-Jubilee. But in ideal sense, they are not getting any votes there. In fact, I also noticed they had carried Mike Sonko there. It was not in the interest of Mike Sonko to go there because he knows Ukambani is purely NASA. So when he goes there...
But he's part of the Jubilee leadership.
When he goes there, that message spreads all to people from that place right here in Nairobi. In the end, they look at him as really a Jubilee man, not really a NASA person, considering that, in fact, Sonko should go elsewhere. No, but you see,
Sonko has not claimed to be a NASA man.
Exactly. Yes, but what I'm telling you, he was making a mistake. How was he making a mistake? He's going to a place where people are generally NASA to display how Jubilee he is. So it means when he comes back here, it will follow him right here in Nairobi. In any case, he has not been seen to campaign in Nairobi. He's actually campaigning outside Nairobi.
Mtumishi, Kalonzo goes ahead in his statement and says such utterances, referring to what Deputy President William Ruto had to say yesterday in Kitui, is saying such utterances reflect the state of panic and utter desperation on the part of the president and his deputy. Do you agree with that?
The statements that were made by the president and deputy president is indeed state of panic. One, let me disagree with Calvin that the Lower Eastern Party is purely NASA. That is not true. There are people there that will vote for the current government and, of course, NASA. So it is not purely. But to the body language of the deputy president really shows that first, they know that Kalonzo, I don't call them de facto leaders, I call them the ethnic leaders. Kalonzo Musyoka is the ethnic leader of the Lower Eastern. And therefore, while going there, he has to be very careful in what he says. And if you look at this is all about 2022. Why Kalonzo and Ruto? There is no Kalonzo and the president, or it's about Raila and the president, and the deputy president and Kalonzo. So that then tells you it's all about 2022. And whoever is, they're looking at who will come first to me, so that the 2022 can come, and we win 2022, and that's it. That's what basically I think what they're looking at.
And then if I may add,
Prof, okay, just out of that.
They think it would be wrong to say that they did not make an inroad. They did. And how much of it is another matter. But they did. And the very fact that they showed up there and they were enjoying them, actually they were enjoying themselves.
Actually, Prof, there has been several defections from Wiper to Jubilee.
Yes. And these are realities.
So do you think that will translate into votes for Jubilee?
Of course, it will translate to a few more votes. The likelihood is that come August, there will be more people in that zone voting for Uhuru than they did in 2013. That is a reality. Now, how much more is another matter, but there will be more voters for Uhuru than they did in proportion, than they did in 2013. So what that implies is that the effort they are making, because one of the worst things to do is to ignore any place or any vote. So by sending the message, we need your vote, we are with you, we understand, all those things. Out of 10, probably 3 or 4 will see the light and then move on.
The same thing, already before you react to that, the same thing NASA is doing in the North Rift. We've just seen that Mika Kigen, who is eyeing the Elgeyo South parliamentary seat, saying that the ground has shifted from a region that was well known as the Jubilee stronghold. They're now moving on to NASA. The same thing we're seeing in the Ukambani region. Does this point to a scenario where we're going to witness a very tight election?
People are going to judge people according to their performance. I don't know if NASA has a performance they are going to be judged from. But I want you to notice something in these elections, especially that they take to non-strongholds. They are done off the roofs of cars. Nobody goes there, takes a school, builds a podium, and then waits for a big rally to be done there. They are done off the cuff. If the crowd is very hostile, they take off. But something that I also want you to notice, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto. I need to remind you that the worst thing a grown man can do is talk about an individual. If they can't talk about ideas, they can reduce to events. But everywhere they go, it is about Yule Jama, it is about Raila. I don't think that is adding them anything. I don't think that is. At least NASA sometimes talks about what is done and what is not done.
Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah,
Because,
sometimes.
because Prof, we were with you here when Jubilee were in Meru, and they had the same body language that Jubilee is currently showcasing in the Ukambani region. They're trying to put a picture where they don't have a problem with the president, but they have issues with the deputy president.
No, I think they are advisors on both sides, whoever they are. I think they do a little homework.
Yeah.
They tell them, when you go there, be careful, don't say this and this and this. Yeah? And it is also true that both sides have been engaged in name calling, and so it's not a one-way traffic. And sometimes some statements have been very unfortunate, to the extent that somebody says something and then he's construed to mean something else because of the way he said it. Eh? And so that's, both sides need to look into that. Eh? And to be seen as a warmonger, it's not the best image. Eh? To say things that will make you appear as if you are a warmonger. So both sides are being careful, depending on where they are. And then they are trying to appeal to the potential voter, particularly not the fanatical ones. You know. The fanatical ones you can do very little about. But there is a large segment of Kenyan voters who are willing to reason, who are using common sense, and who, when they go to that voting booth, would deliberately decide which of these candidates, from top to bottom, serves my interest best. At the presidency, is it Uhuru or is it Raila? At the governor's level, is it wherever the county is? They'll go down that way. Now, I think a large number, and this is where the decision is going to be made. So I think many of these people are trying to appeal to that pool of people, not the fanatic ones. Because the fanatic ones, there's nothing, they don't reason anyway. So you can just expect that they'll do that. Now, what Keegan said there, I followed very carefully. And he said very interesting things. He said that when Moi left the stage, there was a vacuum. And Ruto, being the intelligent man that he is, jumped in and took over. His crime, according to Keegan, he took over from the elite of the Kalenjins without asking them for permission. And so the Kalenjin elite have regained their position, their sense. And they were asking, what happened? Some upstart came from nowhere. He calls himself what, a hustler? He came from nowhere and took leadership from them. So some of the opposition we are seeing in those areas.
It's because of that.
Because of that, yeah, that's friction. That this person came from nowhere and took leadership from us. So we should fix it and make sure that he doesn't continue being.
And something else that he said while he was talking to us there from Elgeyo Marakwet is that he had clearly put it out there that, you know, there's nothing like 6-piece vote in the Rift Valley region. This is definitely because of the upsurge of the, you know, independent candidates, and we've seen NASA also making inroads. Will this cost Jubilee in a way, because we've known that area to be by far and large pro-Jubilee?
Nationally, 6 pieces is not a big deal. What is a big deal is which presidential candidate are they voting for, even there in Elgeyo Marakwet. So even if they were to vote multiple pieces, one person here and there, it does not matter much. What matters now is which presidential candidate are the Marakwets voting for. If you told us exactly who that is, then the debate would be done. But 6-piece or no 6-piece in Elgeyo Marakwet or wherever else is no longer an issue.
And from Rift Valley, let's just go to Ukambani again. And Jarim, you've seen the, you know, the rally in Ukambani by the Jubilee. As much as NASA was very much successful in Bomet, people might refer to what Jubilee had yesterday as also another mega rally. You know, there are those in the lower eastern region believe that NASA's flag bearer should have been Kalonzo Musyoka. So do you think that population might tend to end up supporting Jubilee because they see their man is not up there?
One, let's say that for a long time, Lower Eastern has never, we can't really say that they have always voted, you know, whole of them in terms of other seats. But when coming to the presidential election, I think the fact that Mamangilu left, came to NASA. We have Wavinya Ndeti now. We have, the governor of Machakos. Of course, we have the former senator of Machakos too, Mr. Mudama.
He's still the current senator.
Yes, and therefore currently, if we look at all that, then we would say that yes, they may get some votes, but not so much in terms of, to fill into the Jubilee basket. But as we speak now, I think NASA has taken the majority of the lower eastern votes, and unless something else happens, and given that some of the members of parliament that you were saying, or the prof was saying that have shifted to Jubilee, look at them. They're not, national figures. People like Mr. Mutambo. You cannot compare Mr. Mutambo, for example, with Mamangilu. They're totally different. And now that Mamangilu the other side, then. So I think these are shifted a bit, and NASA may get more votes. What I'm saying is that Jubilee may get less votes compared to what they got last time.
Your point is, Homan. Before you react to that, clearly, it has been an offensive game here, each side trying to make inroads into the other's stronghold. And I'm talking about the two main protagonists, that is NASA and Jubilee. Jubilee are about to hold a media press briefing at the Jubilee headquarters in Pangani. That is at 3 p.m. today, and they're saying the topic is all about corruption allegations. We're going to go there live shortly. Remember, NASA are also holding their own rally in Homa Bay. Their leader, that is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, is missing in action. He has taken rest. The same as President Uhuru Kenyatta, before, of course, they go back to their campaign trails from tomorrow. We're also going to cover for you that shortly. But let's take a very short break, but we will be right back with much more. Don't go too far.